Hello and welcome everyone to this webinar on database migration in MySQL overview. I'm Patul Kumari, your host for today's session. We have a special guest speaker, Mrs. Ponrekha from Chennai, who has approx 3 years of experience and is Tosca certified. She has worked on end-to-end testing and has expertise in JMeter, Load Runner, and SOAP UI. We are very fortunate to have her here to share her valuable insight with us. I request all the participants to post their queries in the chat so that Punreka can address them. Without further ado, I would like to hand over the session to Punreka. Yeah, Punreka, go ahead.
Thanks, Potul. Thanks for the warm introduction. I'll take it from here.
Yeah, welcome, Punreka.
Hi, team. I'm Pondreka. I have almost 3 years of experience in testing. Right now, I'm working with our in-house product, in which I got the opportunity to work in database migration in MySQL. So I'm going to share my experience with you all. It might be useful for you in the future. Before I move directly into database migration in MySQL, I want to share few information about the basics of data migration, like what is data migration and what are its types, what are the challenges organization face during the data migration phase, and what are the strategies they do to overcome those challenges. Then I'll give you a demo on how to do import and export in database migration in MySQL. Now let's start with what is data migration. As we all know, it is the process of transferring the data between two storage systems in any data formats. We can also say that it is a process of selecting, preparing, extracting, and transforming the data permanently from one storage system to another. First of all, why do we need data migration? Why companies go for it? Companies do this to boost their productivity by having the latest data, because it ensures the data is successfully and securely transferred to the storage system, target storage system or cloud. Real-time data migration to warehouse enables the decision makers to have the latest data. In the pre-migration data phase, we have to check the data assessment, and we have to do data cleansing, and we have to do ETL, extract, transform, and load it back to the server. And after migration, we have to verify the record counts and fix the issues or the exceptions what we got during the data migration phase. So best practices of successful data migration are understand the data usage, access the environment, verify the business requirement, back up the data, stick to the strategy, and test it. Now we move to the next slide. Why organization always undertake a data migration project? There are many reasons your enterprise might need to undertake a data migration project, like upgrading their servers from legacy system to modernized software. For example, insurance companies, they have very old system. They will be willing to move to the modernized software, which is required as of now. Then moving the data between any third-party cloud providers, example from Amazon to Azure or from Azure to Amazon, based on the company's need, or moving an on-premises infrastructure to the cloud-based services, since cloud provides us more benefits. In this stage, data migration is also an essential step in the overall process of migrating an on-premises infrastructure to cloud environment. Migrating applications alone or only databases purely depends on the company's requirement. Next, we see what are the types of data migration. We'll start with storage migration. It transfers the data from one storage system to another, such as hard disk or cloud. In offline migration, data is transferred via storage devices only. While doing the storage migration, check for the size of the storage capacity in destination storage system. So this might help us to save the space in the destination storage. Next is application migration. For example, when an organization switches to another vendor, we go for this application migration. This process is complex because application interact with other applications too, and each one has its own data model. So please be careful while handling the application migration. During application migration, database migration is included in that. Next, we'll see about cloud migration. Cloud migration moves the data or application from an on-premises location to the cloud or from one cloud service provider to another. It is a common form of data migration nowadays because cloud environments provide an on-demand flexibility, dynamic scaling, and it reduces the capital expenditure for the companies. It offers a variety of services for storage, database, and application migrations. When our applications are running 24/7, the cloud providers themselves will take care of monitoring power, cooling, storage, network performance, application health, and etc. They can give distributed performance since they have regional data centers. And business process migration. This is very complex transfer of data because it entire application data and databases, information about customers, products, and the entire operation has to be migrated to the destination. These examples are best seen in mergers and acquisitions and business optimization. That is, when one company acquires another company, they have to do business process migration. Next is database migration. It is a process of migrating data from one database to another database. The source one we call it as source database and destination is target database. Before we see in detail about database migration, we'll see what are the challenges companies face during the data migration phase. First, they have to check the source data, that is the legacy systems data, data profiling, quality and content of the source data should be checked properly. They have to eradicate the duplicates because we'll get errors if we transfer those to the new system. So handling the source data and eradicating the duplicates plays a major role. And we should find out for the wrong data formats. Data must be opened in a format that works well with the new system. We cannot access file in new system if they are formatted before migration. Next is mapping of data. When stored in a new system, data should be mapped in a meaningful way to minimize the confusion. Sustainable governance. Having a data governance plan can help organizations track and report on data quality, which helps them understand their integrity of their data. Final is the security. Maintaining who can access the data, edit, or remove the data is a must to do for security. Although implementation differs by migration type, to overcome these challenges, organizations follow two strategies, Big Bang and Trickle. In Big Bang migration, full transfer of migration is completed within a limited window of time. So live systems experience some downtime while data goes through the CTL process. It is less costly and less complex, but it requires downtime. One biggest disadvantage is if the migration fails, a complete rollback is required. So this is high risk of expensive failure. Whereas in trickle migration, the migration process will happen in phases. During implementation, the old system and the new system run in parallel, which eliminates the downtime, but it is more expensive and easy rollback because if a single phase fails, it is the only phase that needs to be rolled back and repeated. So we are less prone to expensive surprises.
Uh,
Let's see what is data. Yeah, sorry, Putul.
okay.
You have any questions? Okay, shall I continue?
Yeah, Pundrika.
Yeah. We'll see what is database migration. The process of moving the data from the source database to the target database is database migration. The process may be homogeneous or heterogeneous. Homogeneous is migrating from the same database, that is from example from SQL database to MySQL database. Heterogeneous means migrating from MySQL to Oracle or cloud. A company might find that some particular database software has some security features that are needed for their business needs. So they go for database migration. Common reasons for using database migration are upgrading to the latest version of their software to improve security and compliance, moving the existing data to a new database to reduce costs, improve the performance, and to achieve dynamic scaling. Cloud providers give us the dynamic scaling. When we merge data from several databases to a single database for a uniform data view, post merging, we go for database migration. Now we'll see what is MySQL. As we all know, MySQL is the most popular open source database that is free to download and install and use it. It is a relational DBMS, typically called RDBMS. The tables are related. They'll have one-to-one relationship or one-to-many relationship. We know databases are the data repositories for all software applications. The parts of the database are data and schema. Why we go for MySQL is very fast, reliable, scalable, and easy to use. MySQL is used in most popular applications such as Facebook, Twitter, Netflix, Uber, Shopify, and Booking.com. There are three key differences between SQL and MySQL. SQL is a structured query language. We can write various queries and commands using SQL in order to access the data from database. Whereas MySQL is just like software, like any other software, download, install, and use it. It is used to manage different databases. SQL is used by MySQL, PostgreSQL, or Oracle, etc. MySQL is based on SQL. If you are building a real world applications which are moderately complex, you are going to see that there is a lot of relation exists in the data. So relational data is best suited for RDBMS like MySQL. SQL databases will perform well than NoSQL databases. That's why we go for MySQL. Some of the use cases of MySQL are many of the e-commerce websites such as Uber and Shopify run their transactional systems on MySQL, like their user profiles, user accounts, and payments. Mainly payment related, transaction related applications, they go for MySQL. Social platforms such as Facebook, Twitter rely on MySQL only. In content management, or software as a service applications including Zendesk and HubSpot, they rely on MySQL. Now we'll see the demo on how to do import and export in database migration in MySQL. For that, open the command prompt and run as an administrator. You have to run as an administrator. Then you should have MySQL Workbench and MySQL Server. So go to your location for MySQL Server bin. From there, execute an MySQL dump query. See, I have executed this. Can you able to see this fully? Okay. MySQL dump query. We need the username, password, and source DB. Source DB IP address we need it, and database name, and where we are going to download it in our local. And you should provide the password. It takes some 7 to 10 minutes. So save time. I have downloaded it already. Check the size of the DB, whether you have downloaded it fully. It is 35 MB. So in my system, it took 7 to 10 minutes. So to check the data, I have opened it in VS Code. So check for the server version. The source server version, you should check it. You should know this server version. Then check for the database name. check for the IP address. If everything is okay, then your data is downloaded fully. This is for a single database. It takes some 7 to 10 minutes. Then access this data and check for duplicates. If you want to eradicate it, delete the duplicates, handle it well, and if again you should upload into the server back. For that you need to log into MySQL server. So log in as a root server, root user. It will ask for a password. See, now you are into MySQL server. So create a database now. If you want, you can create a database.
Yes.
See, this is already exists. So I cannot create it again. So directly give this SQL query and it will upload into the server. It takes some 5 to 6 hours if I start now, since my desktop RAM is like that. So when we use it on the live system, we can download it easy. I mean, you can upload it into the server in a short time. And that's all with the demo.
Uh, Thank you, Pondreka. It was a great presentation. If you have any question and queries, participants, so you can ask or you can write down in chat section. Anyone have any queries? Okay.
Yeah, I have a question. So, Pondreka, thanks for the wonderful presentation. You covered the entire topic. Um,
Thank you, Pandyan.
the verification, let's say we have completed the migration. What are some
Okay.
steps to verify and compare the database and ensure that all the data have been successfully migrated? Are there any approaches towards verification?
Yes, Pandyan. We have ETL testing process. We have some validation tests to be carried out. Like we can take some set of tables and data, and we can check.
Is it more like a random testing, or is there a structured method to verify whether all
Uh,
data got migrated?
Manually, we can do random testing. We have ETL tools. If we go for it, we'll have some structured kind of testing. In
I
manual
see.
testing, we can have random checks, and we should be able to find out the errors.
Okay, good. And what about that testing tools available? What are some products available out there?
Yeah, ETL testing tools are available. YAM, like Zetto.
Okay, very
We
good.
have
Thank you.
a few tools.
I see. So did you do any testing for this migration that you completed for the web personality product?
Yes, Pandian, I have completed the manual testing. So as I showed you, I have checked with the database version and I have checked with the tables, but we didn't do the eradication of duplicates.
I see. Sounds good. Thank you, Ponreka.
Thank you, Pandian.
Thank you, Pondreka. Any other one have any question and queries? So please ask.
Pondreka, I have one question.
Yes, Prasanna.
Migration is almost development people is there, no? Doing, no?
Hmm, actually, business analyst will handle this entire migration because we first we should get what the business requirement is.
Mhm.
Then they'll plan it accordingly. All developers, testers, all will involve in this entire migration process.
Okay.
There's two levels of testing, Prasanna. You know, as Ponreka said, the business based on business requirements, the migration is completed. But the ETL tool and other testing tool that Ponreka mentioned is done to do a verification at a database level. After that is done, typically people run through an end-to-end testing of the application utilizing the data as well.
Okay. Actually, today also I discussed with Sridhar also, no content. This migration, AM also I working no, so that is all I working development or no. Development people is there more migration. That's why.
Yeah, it's mostly developers are the ones who are doing this migration. Pundrika has transitioned from a QA to a developer. So she's right now a Java developer. That's why she was involved in doing this data migration.
Yes, Pundrika. Thank you, Pundrika. That's
Thank you, Prasanna.
Okay. Any other one have any question? Anyone? Okay.
Yes, Pureka, like Uday here. It's as you mentioned that all developers will do the migration. So how about the DBAs? If we are looking for some DBA, right, and developer, there's some candidates like the DBA. They say that I'm doing the development as well. So how we differentiate with them?
That is correct. I'm sorry. Actually, when I said developer, I meant DBAs only. So it is primarily an expertise of DBAs.
Okay,
Is that right,
DBAs.
Pundrika?
Yes. If you
Right.
are if you want to do database migration, you want DBS.
DBAs, right? Okay.
But I have another viewpoint, but that's right. That's the DBA role that we can say that. But in the software industry, data migration is the essential is the essential part one. So let's say you are maintaining a website. So you are maintaining your own website in the WordPress. Suddenly, you are not very much interested with the current provider. You want to switching your whole website from one provider to another provider. So I think it is a must necessary skill to little bit of kind of know that how to move data from one database to another, like how we migrating the data from an Android phone to iPhone, something like that.
I agree. I agree. It depends. Small and medium
Yeah.
enterprises, sometimes you wear all the hat and you are tasked with migration of the application. You take care of the database migration as well. But if you go to large enterprises where they have a DBA team, this responsibility will primarily fall on the DBA team. And
Yeah,
then,
that's right. It's based on the huge amounts of data.
correct.
Yeah.
I've seen many of our customers who are upgrading the database as well, especially if they're upgrading from one version of Oracle to another. Sometimes, they do this manual data migration after they install, and if it is an um, new server installation configuration, and then the new database instance is up and running, then they migrate the data. So at that point, it's primarily the DBAs who are doing this.
Yes, I would like to add to Pandian's view because we don't get permission to access DB's check-in. Only DBA teams can access it.
No, I'm not saying it is only the DBA. I'm just saying because if somebody is running their own website.
Yes, for
Yeah,
small scale, it
I
is
was saying in that context.
totally agreed.
But this is a skill that definitely is useful for developers as well when they understand the complexity involved and the process of migrating the database. They will definitely appreciate why it is done, how it is done, and how they need to ensure that the application is running stable after the database migration. I think we've seen this kind of migration even in some of our projects, Q&B project, for example, when they upgraded from Web Center sites 11G to 12G, the database migration was involved. And it was the DBA team who did the migration, but our team was involved in validating that all the website components got successfully migrated into the new 12C database. So there's a software upgrade, and then there is a database upgrade that was involved in that project. Sridhar, do you remember if there was any database migration involved when you were in the Q&B website project?
Sir, as far as I remember, like I was involved in Oracle project where we did the migration from one version to another version. There we involved database activities as well, migration.
Oh, this is for the Agilent project?
Yes, sir. Agilent project.
Okay. Very good. Putul, you can wrap up if there are no more questions.
Okay, thank you, Pandyan. Thank you so much, Punrekha. It was great presentation, really. Thanks for sharing your thoughts on database migration in MySQL and also answering all the questions from the audience and clarify their doubts. I would like to thank all the participants for joining the session. Thank you so much, all of them. Yeah.
Thanks,
Good.
Putul.
Thank you.
Thanks to my team, and thanks to my
Thank you,
company who
Punrekha.
gave me this opportunity.
Thank you,
Thank
Punrekha,
you.
for
Thank you all.
Thank you, Punrekha. Thank you.
Thank you, Punrekha.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, team. Bye.